comic books are an important contributing factor in many cases of juvenile.
Look, up in the sky!
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Holy, here we go again.
Hello and welcome to These Guys Have Issues, the podcast where we discuss current topics and issues within the comic book community. I'm your host, Carter Hutchison.
I'm your co-host, Mike Thomas.
And Mike, today our issue of discussion is the new Shazam! Shazam movie.
Say it one more time.
Say the word.
What word?
Yeah, okay, so we're going to do a quick, kind of spoiler-free, just in general, what you think of. And then we'll come in with a full-on spoiler discussion. So, yeah. Would you just general thoughts of the movie without giving anything away?
It was really good. I was pleasantly surprised. Anytime that I see a movie where I don't really know a lot about the superhero-wise, like Aquaman, Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman, Shazam, I go into it just open-minded. Like, it could be bad. If it wants to be bad, it's perfectly fine. I'm still probably going to enjoy it anyway. But not having any expectations and going into it and getting blown away from it,
True.
It's just like makes
always
it
the best.
Yeah, always the best. And I was thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched it with my wife. My wife enjoyed it too. She thought it was like one of her favorite superhero movies.
And she's not usually big into these, right?
No. She
That's awesome.
Almost fell asleep during Captain Marvel. So,
okay.
I mean, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But.
So, what was your level of familiarity with the character, like walking into the movie theater?
So I knew a little backstory about him, like in the what was it? He had a '60s cartoon, or not '60s cartoon,
'70s live action.
'70s live action.
Mm-hmm.
I was familiar with that part of it.
TV show, I should say.
That part of it, and then the stuff from Flashpoint.
Okay, which is like a different version of Shazam, though.
And then in Kingdom Come, different version of him too. I never really knew like his true origin story. I knew that he was he got his powers from the wizard.
The basics,
yeah,
right?
The basics. Nothing.
The wizard named Shazam.
Pretty much
on the Rock of Eternity.
Yeah, pretty much just like with any superhero, I don't really know. I just know the basics, like the overview.
Did you know any Seven Deadly Sins
I did
or
know
Savannah?
That. I did not know Dr. Savannah.
Not even Dr. So Black Adam would be the only Shazam villain that's even on your radar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And then of course when he fights the Spectre in Infinite Crisis.
Yes.
So that's about it.
Yeah, Shazam is a character that I really like. Clearly by my stack of Shazam comics over here to read.
He's neat.
It's just a great idea. It's Superman with a gimmick, but it's just perfect wish fulfillment.
But it's what you wanted when you were a kid.
100%. So I took my stepson Valen to see this, who was 8. And just throughout the movie, he'd be like, I wish I could say the word, and turn into Shazam. And as we're leaving the theater, he's running off the steps of the movie theater and jumping off and yelling Shazam, like Billy did on the roof and everything. And actually, I have learned to I have rediscovered the character through his appreciation for the character.
Yeah.
So we were watching this episode of Justice League Action. I think it's actually the first one. Remember that Valen has no idea who Shazam is before this, right? He's never heard about that at all. And in the episode, Batman finds the wizard who is lost and can't find the Rock of Eternity. And Batman thinks he's just kind of this crazy old man in the subway. But eventually they get there, and Black Adam has Billy Batson, and he's tied up, and he has a gag around his mouth, right? So again, put yourself in this 8-year-old boy's shoes watching this cartoon. It's just Batman with this wizard. There's a bad guy, and oh no, there's this boy tied up, right? This hostage. That's it. So eventually, during the battle, Batman tears off the gag on Billy Batson, and of course, the first thing he says is
Shazam.
Shazam. Valen's face when that captured hostage boy turns into big red superhero with a lightning bolt and a white cape,
Captain
just jaw dropped and turned, and he's like, "Did you just see that?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?" The Shazam. So I did have high hopes going into the movie that it would be something mostly that he would enjoy, because I know myself and our producer Huey V, we've had this conversation a few times that if DC is going to have a Spider-Man, who is it going to be? Like, what's the closest thing in the DC universe to a Spider-Man, right? Yeah. And to me, Shazam is in the conversation or at the top of the list. It's either like Shazam or Blue Beetle, maybe, I would say. Like the Jaime Reyes version.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think there's a great argument for Shazam in that he's, trying to pass geometry, and then the next thing he's saving the world, you know?
The guy who played, the kid actor, Asher Engel, I think you can almost put him, it's almost like if you didn't have him as Shazam, you could have cast him for Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be perfectly fine.
Totally. I wouldn't be surprised either if he was one of the, 1,000 kids that Disney was considering.
Exactly.
Like Logan Lerman and people like that before the first Tom Holland Spider-Man. So long story short, I liked it.
Yeah, it was really good.
I really liked it.
It was one of those movies you went and saw, you were kind of taken back from it because it was so good. And then you left the movie theater feeling like happy, go lucky, and to me, movies have always been something that you're supposed to be able to escape to. Forget everything that's going outside the doors as soon as you hit the movie theater.
Right.
And as soon as you start watching that movie, you're escape from reality. You want to be able to talk about this movie for the next couple of days. You want to be able to refer people to it.
Yes.
Like, hey, you should go check this out. It's
I
good.
can't wait to see it again, to be honest with you.
Me neither.
I would go see it again in theaters.
Right now?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Podcast canceled.
We'll take a quick pause to go see Shazam. Be back in 2.5 hours. But yeah, it was just really good. And then, of course, my wife comes with me to all these superhero movies. I drag her to all of them, and for the most part, she enjoys goes in. But it's something when she sits in the car and be like, "Man, that was just such a good story. It was really good.
Right.
It was well portrayed on the screen." And I'm like, "Yeah." And she didn't really talk about that much about with movies. Like even Infinity War, she wasn't like, she was like, "Oh, well, this was a lot of stuff," but she never said it was really good.
Sure. Infinity War's so heavy too.
Yeah.
But you can walk into this movie with zero
knowledge,
preconceived notions, or anything of what Shazam is, and enjoy the movie and walk out a fan.
Exactly.
Okay, that's all I have to say that's spoiler free. Okay. You good?
Yeah.
All right. So, like always, before we jump into the main meat of our podcast, here's a quick message from our Patreon. All of Grassroots Comics is funded through our Patreon, patreon.com/grassrootscomics. For as little as $1 a month, you can become part of the Grassroots Comics community, which includes many perks, such as having your name mentioned in this segment of every episode of the podcast, the ability to suggest topics of discussion for shows like These Guys Have Issues, access to the private Grassroots Comics subreddit, where members can continue discussions started on the podcast or start their own, behind-the-scenes access to the GRC studio, and early access to digitally released comics and Classic Cartoon Rewind. So it is the goal of all of us here at Grassroots Comics Productions that one day the Patreon is strong enough where we are able to produce the stories, artwork, and stop-motion animation shorts pitched and selected by the Grassroots Comics community. But the only way that becomes possible is with a strong Patreon. So if you feel that the entertainment value you receive from this podcast is at least worth 25 cents, then please become a Patreon contributor today, and with our powers combined, we can have all of our stories heard. All right, now let's get on with the rest of the show. Okay, and we are back. So just another quick message about the Patreon. We discussed this some last week, and I'll be putting a video out hopefully soon this week. But we're doing this new thing called back issue bundles, where if you are a Patreon member, every month your name is entered into the raffle to win the back issue bundle, which is going to be 4 issues from yesteryear that is themed to whatever is coming out this month. So this month our bundle is Shazam and Avengers themed. So go ahead and join the Patreon as soon as possible, because the lower the Patreon contributors are, the higher your probability for winning the back issue bundle is. So that being said, everything going forward is going to be spoilers.
All spoilers.
Yeah, taking off the gloves here.
Here's your sign.
Okay, so the first thing I kind of want to talk about is the villains. Since the movie starts with the villain, you see Sivana first before you even see Billy. What did you think of Sivana in general as a villain? And
I thought he was okay for a villain for a one shot. Because to me, this movie could either have been one singularity in the DCEU, or it could be something that could lead to more.
Sure.
And
I think they made that way on purpose.
Exactly.
Kind of like Aquaman, in that they are not sure if they're ever going to do more of these. So let's put everything into it, you know?
Yeah.
So besides Black Adam, really.
But they mentioned him.
They do. They do.
A lot, actually.
I really thought we were going to get a teaser at the end.
That's what I thought, too.
Of The Rock
But
as Black Adam.
But were you surprised when they had Mr. Mime?
Oh, well, you see him in the very beginning.
I didn't realize it at all. I did not realize it at all.
And that's another thing, that if you know more of Shazam's history, there are a ton of little Easter eggs. One great one is that when they name Billy's parents, and like, your mother is so-and-so and your dad is C.C. Batson, that is a reference to C.C. was the initials of the first guy who created Shazam.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So there's little stuff like that all over the place.
Yeah,
it's just excellent.
Huh.
But yeah, I thought Savannah he felt like real, and also a very comic booky villain at the same time. And they were able to balance that well, I feel like.
Yeah, the way that they portrayed the fact that, like, he was off-put with his family, his dad didn't really appreciate him as a kid.
Did you recognize who the dad was, too, by the way?
I can't remember his name.
That's Lionel Luthor from Smallville.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Right.
Oh, my gosh. Now it makes it even better.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. There was one part in the movie that shocked me. All right?
Let's hear it.
7 Deadly Sins, when Savannah walks back into his father's office. And
Greed, you can have them.
No, not that part. It's where he just throws his brother out the window.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he just is like...
His brother was
he's a bad guy.
His brother was not...
He was not nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a good brother.
No. But the reason why I say that, because then there's that part, and then one of the deadly sins just rips off somebody's head, like, right there.
Yeah, that scene was pretty graphic, especially with them running towards the, like, frosted glass.
Exactly, and then they, like, get snatched back, like, in... It's not Alien. What is it?
I thought it was Alien.
Was it Alien? Where they get snatched back from the glass?
Yeah.
Okay, it might have been.
Because it was reminding me of some classic horror movie. And I'm a big Alien fan, so that's what I originally thought it was.
And Independence Day. Throws him up against the wall, and he uses the toss through him.
Sure.
That's what made me think of it.
Sure.
But I had told a kid in the line to get tickets that, oh yeah, this is a very family friendly movie. If you can't see your other movie, you should see this with because her older brothers were seeing it. And so she's like, okay, we'll take your word for it. And when I saw that, I thought that the was like, they're gonna think I'm a terrible person.
Right.
Like, I just let this girl see this guy get his head eaten.
There was more like cursing in it than I thought there would be too.
Did they say the F word in it?
No, they never did that.
Okay.
But I mean, it is PG-13, so I guess I can't complain too much. But there's clearly the intent to make it a family movie, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think I'm skipping ahead of my notes here a little bit, but it felt like a old school family movie, like from the 80s or something.
Yeah. Well, I think it wanted to get an 80s vibe.
Totally.
Like, it wanted to draw
and
people in.
And it achieved it.
Oh, definitely.
It's very much big, the Tom Hanks movie, but with superheroes.
Even the reference where he's like walking on the piano.
I was just going to mention that, man. Yeah,
I
love that, where they're in the toy store and they
Captain
run across
Thunder.
the Captain Sparkle Fingers. And they run across the piano key. That was a great big reference. But it reminded me of like Gremlins and the Goonies and Home Alone, and like the teeth and stuff on the 7 Deadly Sins reminded me of Gremlins.
Yeah.
Those guys were pretty scary.
Oh,
the
yeah.
7 Deadly Sins
They were.
ones. Again, it was kind of freaking my 8-year-old out in parts of it. But overall, it kind of seemed like a DC's attempt at a kid-friendly Deadpool. What would you say to that?
I can see that. There's a lot of quips in it. Like, you would not, if you weren't.
And they poke fun at the genre as well.
Especially the very end spoiler scene. And this does have nothing to do with any of the movie, but it's just a funny scene. And earlier in the movie, they're testing all of his powers, like see what you've got: fire and vulnerability. You can your bullet immunity, super strength, flight, that kind of stuff. So
power to control lightning.
Yeah, power to control lightning.
Right.
And then that's the biggest one of all.
Yeah.
But talking to fish. And they make
that's
they
a
make fun.
stupid power.
And he's like, dude, come on. And like the whole time, Billy's
They say that in the movie.
Billy's adopted, or I guess stepbrother. You could say.
It's his I don't know. It's his foster brother.
His foster brother. There you go. He's wearing an Aquaman shirt. I mean, he's got a superhero shirt on in almost every scene, and the majority of the time it's Aquaman, which I thought was really cool. And he's like, dude, Aquaman. I mean, come on, you can talk to fish. Why can't you?
Right.
He's like, it's stupid.
Just the power to control, 2/3 of the.
It'd be
world.
It would be so cool to have them in a movie together, just to see their back and forth they have.
Aquaman and Shazam.
Yes.
And just to see Jason Momoa talk to that version of Shazam.
Yes.
Really, that's all you need. And that. I love the relationship between Freddy and Billy.
Oh, definitely.
That's like one of the highlights in the movie.
Yeah.
How Freddy is this, amateur superhero expert and keeps like trying to.
He's almost like Topher Grace's character in the Spider-Man 3 movie. Almost like it, but not
Eddie Brock?
Yeah, but not. I mean, like, not because that's not Eddie Brock.
No,
I'm telling you the character that he plays.
Okay,
like, he just like.
It's been so long since I've seen.
Yeah,
the movie.
it's not good.
No, it's not
good.
Yeah.
And then also, like, just he represents. I feel like the comic book community. Like he.
Oh yeah, no,
just like
at 100%.
Because I mean, we're standing
Freddy
in like
especially
a treasure trove of stuff like that. Like you've collected and you've got up memorabilia, everything, and then he
has
that
the Superman bullet.
Yes,
the Batarang.
It's like I could probably get you a couple of $100 if you really wanted to leave.
Yeah,
it's like I didn't steal your bullet,
but he did. And I thought the humor was really on point, even the kind of mix of kiddie humor with some more adult humor, like when the wizard goes. When the wizard Shazam is first talking to Billy, and it's like, just put your hands on my staff. And Billy goes, ew.
He's like, dude, I'm going to touch your staff.
Dude, I don't know about you.
I
have had a song stuck in my head all
Don't
week.
Stop me now.
Nope. And it's hands, hands, hands,
oh
hands.
My gosh.
Hands. Lightning from my hands.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really annoying my wife.
It's really funny.
Hates it.
This is like the first superhero we've ever seen that's from Philly.
Yeah.
So shout out to Philadelphia.
Well, I was kind of concerned about
Nick
that,
Foles.
to be honest with you, because
anymore.
Because Fawcett City is such a big part of the comics, and I didn't know when they were first like putting it in Philly. It's kind of like, oh, that's like taking Batman out of Gotham or something. Like it just feels weird. But I do like that they kind of snuck in some Fawcett City stuff. Did you see that was the name of his high school? It's like Fawcett City High School. So yeah, that was great. Now, emotional arc of the movie. What did you think of the mom parent stuff?
So as soon as, and this is all spoiler for the movie, and of course you can read the plot line and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as soon as Billy, like they show that Billy's estranged from his mom because he quote unquote ran away from her when he really didn't.
Not really. He just got lost, she never came and looked for him.
And my wife was sitting there next to me. She's like, "Why didn't she never come look for him?" And I was like, "Probably because she didn't want him." And then realizing that she was 17 at the time, when she tells him,
right?
You don't get that feel at the beginning. You feel like she's like a mature adult.
Yeah, like she's got her stuff together.
Exactly. And I'm like, she's just doing the best she can.
Right.
She talks about how she can't hit the balloon. She's just not my luck today.
Right.
And she gives her the keychain. Gives him the keychains like, you can always find your way. And I'm like, oh, that's very heartfelt.
Yeah.
And then she was like, why didn't you ever look like it? And I was like, I know where this is going. Like I could tell that there was because, and there was going to be some round circle where he comes back and says, wow, I actually have a family, but you're not part of it.
Of course. Now, I was kind of surprised that they had him meet her. To my knowledge, that's not something that happens in the comics ever.
I don't think so.
Is finding out who Billy's parents are.
If it does, comment on our social media pages, Facebook,
There's not too many Shazam comics to like pull from.
There's not, though.
Which kind of makes this movie even more interesting and parts of it even ballsier.
And they get a lot of their stuff from the New 52.
That's exactly my point.
And this is so fresh. And
especially at the end when Shazam splits the staff and shares the powers of
Not yet,
Shazam.
not yet.
We can get there.
Okay.
Across his foster family, right? So like one kid gets the like speed of Mercury, and another one gets the strength of Hercules, right? But I mean that's just from the New 52, and they haven't really expanded much on that. So we're talking like 2 volumes really that this movie kind of pulls from, and even the Seven Realms stuff is stuff that like I feel like the comics haven't figured out the Seven Realms.
No.
And here's Mr. Mind in Dr. Sivana's cell dropping
knowledge
right.
and bombs, like just left and right.
First of all, I can't believe I sat in a movie theater and there was Mr. Mind on the screen. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Mind is a intergalactic worm. He's an alien, but to us looks like a regular like inchworm. And in the like classic version, he speaks through this like little radio speaker box thing that's like tied around his neck. And
legit, he was speaking from a little speaker box that's tied around his neck.
And it was as soon as I heard that voice in the cutscene at the end where Sivana's in his cell and he's trying to scribble the 7 deadly sins thing to get back into the Rock of Eternity. And he's just like, oh, you primitive, 2-legged, like, it's just...
Alan Rickman voice.
It kind of was, yeah. Your generic Johnny Quest bad guy voice.
Or
as Mr. Mind.
Who's the guy who plays Dr. Zola and Captain America? That guy.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about.
Sure,
Like
his voice,
I can
but
see
it
that.
wasn't.
Let's see. But yeah, man, just the mom stuff, like, just really, really got me.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, like maybe it's as a parent, and like I just can't.
Why would you ever leave your kid? Why would you not
Sure,
look for
dude,
me? It doesn't matter how old you are.
It just killed me to see little Billy Batson like lost in the crowd and like scared, and then how that makes a kid feel that like your mom doesn't even come and look for you.
Yeah.
Like,
She was only 2 bus stops away.
dude, it's getting windy in here right now, like, just talking about it.
What? There's another phrase from a movie where you're like, they were here their whole time. They're only just like a couple of houses away. Or something
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
I think that's from an '80s movie too.
That wouldn't surprise me either.
I wish I could remember. What
It could be
that was.
big.
No. Oh man.
Or like where somebody's lost and it turns out they were just like right around the corner
Forrest
or
Gump.
something.
Are you kidding me? When he's sitting on there and he's telling all the story to everybody, he's on the bench and he's trying to go to Jenny, and Jenny is just like 2 blocks down the road.
Jeez, right.
Yeah, sorry,
Right.
that's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not quite an 80s movie. But
Yeah, sorry.
Fair enough. But yeah, man, that's just without the mom stuff, this is just like a fun superhero summer blockbuster type thing. But like that really made the movie have a strong emotional core.
Exactly. And when he gives his powers to his family, like his brothers and his foster brothers and sisters, foster family come up to bat for him, and he, rejects them at first, and then now he realizes that it's exactly what he wants,
Right.
and
needs.
and so he realizes it, and he's like makes a mature decision and gives them all powers so they can fight the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah. Who was your favorite of the Shazam foster kid?
It's got to be
family?
Freddy. I mean, I like
You think?
Freddy, but the bigged, like, I don't know, this smirk that got on my face is when Freddy turns into his guy and he's Adam Brody.
Yeah.
It's portrayed by Adam Brody, and I just remember Adam Brody in the OC being a nerd.
Yeah.
Because he was. He loved comics and made references.
He's in Gilmore Girls too.
He is?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's in Lane's band.
I have not seen all of Gilmore Girls.
Oh, okay.
So
You're missing out.
I know. Stephanie tried to get me into it, and I'd watch it every now and then when she watched it, but I
Okay.
never like sat down and watched it anyway. But I love the OC, and I loved Adam Brody in it because I was like, oh yeah, he gets the hot chicks and he's a nerd.
Yeah.
Like hipster at the time.
Sure.
Now, it's everyday occurrence.
That's so in some real life stuff. Elvis was a big fan of Shazam.
Really?
And that's where he got his hairstyle from. Was Captain Marvel Jr. has that like kind of greased hair look.
Huh, that's funny.
Yeah. So and actually, when Elvis's career progressed further into the like late 60s and 70s, and he's playing mostly Vegas, and he's in the jumpsuit, and he has the cape, the little half-length cape.
Oh yeah,
that's from
right.
Shazam
Wow,
comics.
dude.
Yeah. So Elvis had a little bit of a nerd in him too.
And then that was a pleasant surprise. And then I don't know if you're a 13 Reasons fan. That's a show that came on Netflix that talks about teen suicide and stuff like that. Ross Butler, who plays Eugene as the Marvel counterpart, he's the Asian guy who like hacked into everything and is really good at.
Oh yeah. The one that gets the lightning powers.
Yes. He's a good actor, and I actually follow him on social media. He's a really cool guy too. He's like a down to earth because he's not really like big, like A-lister. He's like a B-lister. I'm sorry if I hurt you. If you're listening to this, Ross, I apologize. I'm not trying to
Especially
take
after
anything away
hearing
from
all the great things she said about James Marsden. Like, how's this guy not on the same list as the wonderful James Marsden?
But it'd be really cool to see him. Shut up. It would be really cool to see him like later on and be like in these movies again.
Yeah.
And then incorporate him maybe somewhere else.
Oh, I mean, honestly, like they could do whatever they want to from this point. Like the Shazam family could have their own spin-off stuff. You could do a Mary Marvel movie by herself.
Yeah.
My favorite was Darla.
Yeah.
The little girl. I thought she was hilarious. And that she was in there just enough to like, with her personality and everything, if she was in there too much, it could have become annoying. But especially the scene where she is in her Shazam form and she sees Santa, who of course she thinks is like
real
actual Santa. She's like, I feel really good this year. Like that got me. That got me.
Also, just a little point here. Cooper Andrews, he plays Victor Vasquez, who's like the foster dad.
Oh, yeah.
He was in Walking Dead.
Okay.
And he was with Ezekiel, who had the tiger. So I just saw him, and I'm like, where's the tiger? Where's the tiger going to be here?
Like Tony Tiger?
No.
Or
like
Tawny Tiger?
What's the tiger's name in Shazam?
Tawny.
It's Tawny?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just kept waiting for him to be like, because there's it's Superman Shazam.
Yeah.
That animated featurette, and Tawny is he transforms into the tiger,
right?
And it looks like
the dad does.
Yeah, well, not the dad; it's the wizard. But I mean, he looks like Cooper Andrews looks like the wizard that transforms into the tiger. And I'm like, oh, that'd be pretty cool if they actually like just planned that, or if they just didn't.
Talkie Tawny.
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
If they planned it, but I thought it was really cool. And I like him. He's a good actor, too.
Agreed. And did you notice that, like, when in the last battle at the fairgrounds, there's a dad and daughter that are hiding in, like, a carnival booth, and Shazam gives her a tiger to,
I was like, Easter egg?
I get it.
Easter
I get
egg?
it. Yeah.
I looked at Stephanie, and she's like, I don't understand this.
Right. That's for me. Okay, so, yeah, let's talk about the Mr. Mind. Do you think he is set up to be the villain in the next one?
I don't necessarily think he's set up to be the villain in the next one. I think he's set up to be part of, if they ever do it, a Legion of Doom. If they ever do it.
Okay.
Or the Injustice
maybe.
Guild, or
Sure.
the Injustice League, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
I feel like, because Black Adam is going to be in, like, even though he gets his own movie, we might get the prequel to Captain, or to Shazam.
Yeah, it's hard to not say Captain Marvel, right?
We might get the prequel to that with him in it, because it says in the very beginning, you know, we had my brothers and sisters sat on these 7 chairs, but we gave our power to the champion. He
to one who's not worthy.
Yeah. And so I feel like they're going to do like that, and then they could tie it in at the end where Mr. Mind. I bet
you, though, that his version of the story is a little different.
Of course.
Than what the wizard says. In the same way that, like, Sinestro probably has a different view of the Guardians.
Yeah.
You know.
But, I mean, Sinestro's a madman.
Well, yeah. So is Hal Jordan.
Is he, though?
When his city gets destroyed and he
turns to parallax because he lets fear in.
Right.
But up to that point, he was fine.
Sure.
Yeah. Fear, you know.
Okay.
Lost your city. Cyborg Superman killing your love of your life. But no, I would like to, like, if they do Shazam, then Black Adam, and then the next Shazam movie, and it has Black Adam in it, and they're fighting Mr. Mind and Captain Savannah, or whatever his name is. That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah. We'll talk about this a little more at the end. I have a general kind of where to go from here question.
Yeah.
A few other things that I thought worked well in the movie was when Billy is able to, he's Shazam, and he's backed into a wall as Shazam, and he can say his name and become Billy again, and then slip into the crowd and stuff. I thought that worked really, really well.
Yeah, it did.
It was just a great way for a kid to bail in a situation.
Yeah, and a lot of the times in the comics and even in the animated featurettes, we see an older Billy Batson use his powers when he says Shazam to the lightning bolt that hits him to turn from his to his human form and then to his Shazam form to hurt somebody.
Yes.
And Kingdom Come, when he's fighting Superman, he says his name repeatedly and he holds Superman up to get the lightning bolt, not him. So he doesn't ever change back.
Well, he did that in this. He had someone, I think there was one of the Seven Deadly Sins, on top of him, and he says Shazam, so the lightning bolt comes down against the monster.
Mm-hmm. But he changed though after that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
he wouldn't have changed,
in
the comics and then in the animated featurette.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So if he learns that power, later, if he learns the ability to not do that,
change.
It'd be really cool to see that. We haven't even got to the biggest spoiler.
What's that?
The Superman.
Oh yeah, the little Superman appearance at the end. That seems really fun. And I totally should have seen that coming as the tag when it didn't happen in the actual movie. Mm-hmm. Just to kind of fill you in a little, Freddie, one of the foster kids with Billy, is getting picked on by these bullies at school, and he tries to brag to them that he knows Shazam, and that in fact, he knows, maybe Superman too, right? And that they're going to come and have lunch with him one day. Which doesn't happen, and the bullies just pick on him more for that. But the last scene is Freddy sitting by himself in the lunchroom, and then the other foster kids kind of come and sit with him. And then Shazam comes around, and he's like, oh, and I brought my boy here too. And all you see is Superman is from the neck down. Yeah, that played really well, and does a good job too of going ahead and putting Shazam in the bigger DC universe as a whole.
And it makes Superman ambiguous too, because you don't know if it's Henry Cavill.
Sure, it looked like the suit from Man of Steel.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm hoping that just Henry Cavill didn't have the time to be there.
Yeah.
Because Witcher and stuff like that.
Witcher, and everything else that he's doing. He's in. Oh gosh. He's in something else. I know that's coming out.
I haven't seen anything, but yeah, I guess the general overall theme of the movie is that adulthood is scary, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
This kid gets thrown into adulthood, and his childhood is a world of magic, but then there's these really dark and tempting and deadly things out there. And that's another thing too that kind of harkened it back to family movies from the 80s and 90s. Think back to the live action movies you watched as a kid, and parts of those are scary.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think you really get that in modern family films. Gremlins is pretty terrifying in parts.
Yeah.
Home Alone 2, the part with the bird lady in Central Park.
Well, even Home Alone 1, having two people break into your house.
See, exactly. It's you're a child alone in the world, and other adults intend harm on you.
But it also puts an innocent, the fact that all this stuff's going on, these are still kids and they're still innocent at heart. And that's why I think that it bodes well that he gets this power. An adult couldn't have this power. I feel
probably not.
They would be and they show a scene in it where these people are all talking about how this thing happened, and then I'm getting asked to pick up the sphere and be pure of heart and blah blah.
Right.
It's all a bunch of malarkey and stuff like that when they're conducting an experiment. But they're all adults. None of them are kids, and that a kid who doesn't want to have anything of it has got his innocence and is supposed to be pure of heart. It was really neat to see that too.
Yeah. But
I get what you're saying about the family stuff and being adopted too. If if I knew, like I've said this no more times, that I feel my birth mom gave me up for a right reason, that I wanted to have a better life or whatnot.
Yes.
And if she didn't, that's fine. I don't need to know
Yes.
that. It's okay.
Right.
Because I have a perfectly good family right now.
Right.
My adoptive parents were amazing. My mom still is amazing. My dad passed away a while back. So he was a great father to me. And in Billy's world, he kind of doesn't want this at first. Mm-hmm. And I feel like at that age, if you're passed around through the foster system,
Right.
or if you're adopted,
You're wanting to know.
You're wanting to know what my life could have been.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he goes and sees his mom, like I said, I knew that part was
just tore me up, man.
gonna
In
happen.
That, like, crappy apartment building.
Exactly.
You hear what sounds like an abusive husband or something,
Yeah.
or boyfriend in the background, and
I feel
she's got like a waitress uniform on and stuff. And
I feel like every time that we have this, because this has been done before, where you have the persona of this is just not a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Even in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air,
Okay.
And well, I'm serious because
right. That's an emotional. I think I know which episode you're talking about.
where his dad comes back and he's like, "I'm going to go on this trip with him." He's super excited, and he said, "It's just not a good time for me, son," and he leaves. And
it's never a good time.
No, and Will Smith portrayed that very well because that was actually happening in his real life.
Mm-hmm.
Like his dad kind of just went out of his life, didn't know anything. So for Billy to not even know who his dad was, didn't really care, but he cared more about his mom because that's who he had when he could remember.
Yeah. Which, I mean, let's be honest. Like, Billy was maybe like 3 in that scene.
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
no
he could
way
talk.
He remembers.
I mean, he probably remembers his mom's face.
Maybe a little bit.
Remember her voice a little bit, but
right.
The ins and outs of it, not really.
Yeah, man. Like I said, that scene just it killed me.
Yeah,
it killed me.
It's sad, but it brings the character to his full potential.
Sure, but I mean, that might be the most emotional moment I've had in any comic book movie. Is Billy meeting his mom again, and I was trying to put it in perspective for my 8-year-old on the ride home.
Yeah.
That Billy is 14 in the movie, so when his mom had Billy, she was only 3 years older than what Billy is in the movie. She's like maybe Mary's age, like Mary Marvel.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can understand her. Like, she says that she was 17. She was kicked out of her folks' house for getting pregnant, and the dad ran off. So
she just in a downward spiral.
Right. She thought that Billy would be safer and have a better life with the state, really, and I guess she was right.
Ended up being right.
Still, but just as a parent, like, I can't.
No, of course not.
That's what was hitting me the hardest with it. Another little Easter egg. Back on the sunnier note here.
Yes.
They're running through a toy store apart, and there's a bunch of like DC like plush dolls and everything. And then he knocks over some Batman ones, and the Batman action figure or whatever says, "I am Batman." Did you recognize whose voice that is?
Was it Michael Keaton?
No, it's Kevin Conroy.
Oh, really?
It's 100% Kevin Conroy.
I didn't even notice
Oh,
that.
yeah, dude. Just as soon as I heard it, I was like,
Because
Conroy.
I remember when he grabs the Batman, he goes, "Go get him, Batman!" And he throws it at him. That just totally, distracted me from everything.
Oh, on the note of Batman, what was your thought?
I thought we were going to talk about the news.
No.
Okay.
What was your thought when the Batarang cut the back of Sivana's head? Like, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
The first thing that went through my mind was, okay, so this is the Batman from the DCEU.
Mm-hmm.
This is Batflick
Mm-hmm.
using his equipment. But then I thought, well, he has to have the power of the 7 deadly sins within him to protect him. That's where he gets his magic from.
Oh, really? So you got there before the movie even like...
Yes.
Dude, my first thought was, is Batman using nth metal? And like, is the movie... Are the movies going to do nth metal?
You're like inside the movie.
We just saw Mr. Mind in the first 5 minutes.
You are inceptioning this movie right now.
I mean, just Russian doll.
Yes.
It's just yeah, that was my first thought. And I was like, oh,
really?
Man, how are they going to... Because, I mean...
I didn't even think about that, but now that makes sense.
Right?
Wow, man.
Because they say that, like, the weapons of man don't hurt us, right? And the Batarang is very much a weapon of man. So my thought process
Oh my
was,
gosh.
how is Batman?
So they're gonna put Batman metal in this later on.
No, that would be
Metal.
awesome. It would be metal. It would be metal. Yep.
Shazam.
Let's see.
By the way, do you know who uses Shazam as a tagline?
Gomer Pyle.
Yeah.
Shazam.
There you go. That's a good one.
That's actually the first thing my mom said when I was like,
Really?
"Yeah, we're going to see Shazam." She's like, "Oh, I don't really know much about that guy except that like Gomer Pyle said it."
Shazam.
I'm like, oh, man, that's awful. The strip club stuff cracked me up too.
Yeah, that was funny.
And that's something that you would see in like an '80s family movie.
Yeah.
Like, okay, The Goonies. Everybody remembers The Goonies as being this like happy-go-lucky family film. And in high school and college, I used to work at a summer camp, and you have to gear films and stuff towards kids at that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first ones suggested was The Goonies. So we're watching The Goonies on the like second night at camp was movie night, where they put like a big projection thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in the very beginning, is it Corey Haim? Is that the one that's in that one, or is it Feldman? It's one of the
Corey
Coreys.
Feldman.
Anyway, that whatever Corey is there is talking to the Spanish-speaking maid, and she's like, "Oh yeah, they keep." He's like, "Oh yeah, they keep the heroin in the like second drawer from the top," and you're just like, "There's heroin in the Goonies."
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's just kind of, I don't know, falls. It was great. It was great. They got what they were aiming for in the same way that,
And they blew it out of the water.
yes,
So
in the same way that Spider-Man Homecoming was like, we want to be like a John Hughes movie, but set in the Marvel Universe, like Breakfast Club or something.
Mm-hmm.
They hit that. DC hit the big mark with Shazam.
yeah,
Yeah.
they definitely did.
Okay, so now to kind of wrap things up a little bit, where to go from here with Shazam?
We have to see the Black Adam movie first.
Yes, I think that's probably next. Did you see The Rock put out that video?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he put out a video. It's just him talking to the camera, and he's reading like a Jumanji 2 script or something. Happens to be like planted around him.
Yeah.
But he's basically just thanking the fans for coming out and making Shazam the #1 movie at the box office this past weekend, and that reaffirms his position that a Black Adam movie would sell,
Yeah.
and that's going to be like, I'm sure within Warner Brothers they were kind of like, all right, yeah, we might do like a Black Adam movie, The Rock, but first we're going to like do a Shazam movie and kind of dip our toe in the water, and if that's good, then like full force away,
yeah.
with a Black Adam
Same
movie.
people who did Shazam should do the Black Adam movie.
Now, they have already announced a sequel to Shazam, and
Yeah.
it is the same director and writer.
And I thought they already had the script out.
Oh, I don't know anything about that. That would be surprising to me. It's just first weekend on a movie that you didn't
Yeah.
really know.
Zach Levy, can we talk about him real quick?
He did great.
He did amazing. And some of the stuff that he said, to be honest with you, I never watched anything that he's ever been in.
No Chuck?
No,
Yeah.
no, not at all.
Okay.
And so, like, it was very fresh to have somebody that I've never seen before.
In Chuck, he carries like an action role, but it is like comedic and stuff
Yeah.
too. Like you can see where they.
So he could be a real life Archer if they were made.
Yeah, probably. He kind of looks like him. Yeah, he did great.
My favorite line, though, I know this is in the trailer, when he goes up to the counter at the gas station. And
I would like to purchase some of your finest beer, please.
Like, who says that?
Right.
Like, only a kid would say that.
Right. Miller High Life is the in the back, and the second it's the
the
champagne
champagne
of
of
beers. Yeah, I think there's a ton of different ways you can go here for whatever inevitable sequel. But the first thing I'd like to talk about is how this affects the DC, if you still want to call it the DCEU, as a whole. In that, like, maybe you got some of this with Wonder Woman, but we are, like, in full-blown magic mode
Oh, yeah.
with Shazam. In the same way that Doctor Strange opened up the world of magic to Marvel, I feel like now that Shazam has happened and been successful, the world of magic in DC is like completely fair game.
Detective Chimp.
You could do a Justice League Dark movie
Yeah.
now. I think you could really do that. And just like as a side note, I think it would make a lot of sense to see Shazam on a Justice League Dark team.
It would.
and that
Before
team
it-
needs a Superman.
before he's even on the Justice League.
Sure.
So like,
See, that doesn't make sense to me. I would almost rather see Shazam on the Teen Titans.
well, see, you remember
It's such a weird character.
you
to
got to
put on
remember
teams.
that what was it? Young Justice, or was it like one of the movies that they used where Batman's like, I knew he was Billy Batson the whole time.
Yeah, that's the Justice League cartoon where they think Shazam is an adult.
Yeah,
Which, see, that's why it's weird, because like there's some run, I can't remember what it is, but it's in the comics where Shazam is on the Justice League, but he's hitting on Stargirl, and Stargirl's like 14. So to the other people in the Justice League or the Justice Society, it's probably Justice Society now that I'm thinking about it, are like, dude, you gotta cut that out, right? Like that's creeping everybody else out. And he's like, no, I'm like 13, and they're like,
what?
but you look like a man.
Shazam. See, I'm a kid. Shazam. I'm back.
Yeah, and then, but on the flip side, it's either like Shazam can have a relationship and Billy can have a relationship, but they can't ever like
Yeah.
cross.
No.
It's an odd place to be.
Yeah.
But so that being said, I think you can go as far as the implications for the rest of DCU. That's where I would go from here. Is that all the magic writing on the door, and then just boom, there's like a portal and stuff there, and even the all the different doors that are in the Rock of Eternity, and you're seeing the glimpses into the other realms with the alligators. Like that's like straight out of Shazam comics and stuff. Now, I would kind of like to see a Mr. Mind sequel. So Mr. Mind and Savannah in the comics, they create this group called the Monster Society of Evil. Love the name.
The Monster Society of Evil.
Totally. Of evil. Dr. Quest. I would want to see that. And I think that would make a lot of sense with the Shazam family, that Savannah and Mr. Mind would be like, did you know that there was more of them? I thought there was only one. Okay, so we're going to have to get our own bad guy team to go up against the Shazam family. So that's one way to do it.
Legion of Doom.
Nah.
Just kidding.
The other way I think you could do it, and this might make for a more interesting movie, is model it after Spider-Man Homecoming, where there's the mentor figure and there's the mentee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Billy Batson obviously will be learning from an older, more experienced DC character. So I would pair him with Clark Kent.
Or you could be learning from Black Adam, which would be really
But you don't
neat.
want him to learn from Black Adam. Like,
No, it would be cool though, because like if you did it like that, you could have almost like a betrayal figure. Like this is why Black Adam and or Shazam fight, is because he tries to show them this way. It's almost like what they did in the Injustice storyline with Black Adam and Kara. Kara, they find Kara on Earth. You didn't read the book, obviously. Anyway, so like this is in between Injustice 1 and Injustice 2 in the books. Like the actual Injustice 1 and Injustice 2. There's an Injustice storyline. There's a 1 and 2 that are kind of based off the
video games.
the video games strictly. There's the in-between part where they get Kara, they bring her, Wonder Woman brings her...
Supergirl, right?
Power Girl, you can call her Power Girl.
Okay.
I think she plays
She's probably Power Girl at this point.
Wonder Woman brings her in, and she gets Black Adam to kind of train her about the world. And then she realizes that Black Adam was wrong and Clark is wrong, and so she kind of turns on them. So I feel like that Black Adam could show up and be like, so the wizard gave you his powers too. He was the one who chose me before you. And they kind of see eye to eye, kind of like what Sinestro does with Hal.
Yes.
And then he realizes
I think
that
the problem with having it be Black Adam is that then you lose all the real world groundedness to it.
Okay, I get what you're saying now.
Because there's no Black Adam doesn't have an alter ego, right?
He does.
He's
But if he says the words, he'll die.
okay.
That's the reason
okay.
why. Well,
It's Tet Adam, right?
yeah.
because he would his age would catch up to him at that
exactly, he
point.
would die.
Okay.
And there's an incident in the comics where he does do that.
But even the end of the Shazam movie could even set this up with Superman meeting or Shazam meeting Superman.
Yeah.
That Shazam needs to learn how to balance his like real life and what it's like to be a kid and have all these powers, and who knows that better than Clark. Now, what you could do is maybe someone is manipulating Billy. Like maybe Black Adam is manipulating Billy into thinking that Superman doesn't have like his best interest at heart. So then you get a Shazam Superman fight, and they can ultimately come together and then fight Black Adam at the end.
Almost like
BVS, but better.
Well, no, almost like the animated featurette, because he does fight.
Yeah,
Superman.
Exactly. And I mean that's one of the big Shazam storylines, anyways. And if you don't know, like his publication history, he was created to be a Superman ripoff, basically, but with a gimmick of turning it into a kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that movie would work really well, and I would like to see Henry Cavill as Clark walking around Philadelphia with young Billy Batson, becoming that kind of like is it Boys and Girls Club or whatever that like sends out mentors or whatnot with foster kids? Wouldn't that be great if like Clark put himself in that and gets paired with like Billy Batson?
Oh, dude, that'd be awesome.
Right?
That'd be amazing.
There's some cool stuff to go with that. I would want to see that.
You don't want to have Batman.
No, and Bruce, I don't think Bruce would do that either.
He
Bless
could,
his heart. He could.
Imagine.
He could, just like he could give the GCPD all the like Batman gear and not go out and punch criminals in the face every night.
Exactly.
But Bruce Wayne's a sociopath and wants to punch criminals in the face.
Well, his parents died. His parents got murdered.
Yeah.
So I mean,
there's Thomas and Martha.
The pearls went everywhere.
Why did you say their name? Yeah. Any other ideas for where to go with Shazam after this?
The mentor aspect, I never really thought about having that. Would be really cool to see. It has to end up with Black Adam versus Shazam.
Yes.
Like that's the end goal. Now, I would love to see him paired up with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine a kind of quirky Shazam and Flash movie. It'd almost be like Tango and Cash.
Yeah.
A little bit. Or have him paired up with Aquaman. That'd be cool. But since we're already in the midst,
I would want just to see him meet the rest of the...
Oh, yeah.
You know what? And you could even do that in a Shazam is paired with Superman movie, and it's almost like a take your kid to work day.
Yeah.
Like Superman is trying to introduce Shazam to the rest of the Justice League, and they all get their little quips
so
in as
like,
it goes around.
You know, it'd be really cool if they could set this up and actually have a Young Justice movie.
Yes.
And then bring him up and say, hey, we're thinking about putting this team together. Would you be interested in it? And he'd be like, well, I'm an adult when I'm big.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you're a kid. He doesn't really fit in with like
Either
Kid
group.
Flash. Yeah, either group. And so that's why he's trying. You've already have to have like a Justice League Dark movie at this point.
Yeah.
And they asked him to be in that before, but he's considering the Justice League because he wants to be with Superman. He feels like he doesn't fit with the Young Justice. He doesn't feel like he fits with Justice League. Feels like he fits with the Justice League Dark. So he ends up being like, guys, I'm both out. Peace. And then Constantine's like, well, in some British accent says something quirky and
some Cockney accent.
Yeah.
Man, there's two people that wouldn't get along.
Oh, of course
Is
not.
Constantine
Yes.
and Shazam.
Like, what? Why don't you just go bugger off there?
Right.
You know?
Language. Watch your language, sir. As what Shazam would say, too.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not telling you language.
Okay, I was
sir.
like, bugger. I didn't know if that was stood for
No,
anything.
you're good. Yeah, okay, so just official review from These Guys Have Issues.
It was really good.
We liked it.
Yeah,
We liked it.
It was
yeah.
great.
Definitely want to see more of it, and I'm excited to see where they go from here. It's pretty wild, too. The DC has like 3 straight movies that were good. That's sad to say, but I mean,
Knocked it out.
that's a whole hat trick there.
The
Right?
Tripskis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The 3-pointer.
There we go.
The
Throwing
German.
up the Bryce Brown.
The German 3. No, what's it?
This is his German.
This is a German 3. Yeah. Dirk Nowitzki, since he retired.
Who?
Dirk Nowitzki. He retired.
Oh, yeah.
And he would always do the
Bless
German
his
3. He'd be
heart.
like, the German 3. Yeah.
Dirk, he would. Dirk. Okay, well, that's it from These Guys Have Issues. Be sure to join us next week where we're going to be discussing the Hellboy movie. You excited about that one?
I've got
About the reboot?
a really big fist. And it's good for hitting demons.
Nazis. Nazis.
It's good for hitting Nazis.
There we go.
He doesn't.
Doesn't he? Yeah.
Does he fight Nazis?
Yeah.
When?
Didn't you see the first one? Right. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he fought. Is he Indiana
You're
Jones?
gonna
Is he a
yes.
devil Indiana Jones?
Yes. You're really
Spoiler.
going to have to brush up on your Hellboy information.
I don't think
there.
I ever watched the second one. The Golden Circle.
The Golden Circle's good. Or the Golden Army, that's
Golden
it.
Army,
yeah.
Because I remember you were super into him in high school.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the first one with you, but I never saw the second one.
Dude, there's this scene in the second one where they are going through a marketplace in like the monster underworld.
Mm-hmm.
It rivals the cantina scene in the first Star Wars.
Oh, yeah?
As just like immersive. Like, what's that? What's that? Oh, and that. And like, it's just, that scene is nuts. And it's all practical effects because it's Guillermo del Toro.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's not Guillermo del Toro getting to do his next one, and it's not Ron Perlman getting to come back. But I do really like the guy from Stranger Things that they cast as Hellboy. So we'll see. I'm going into it with an open mind. In fact, there's a autographed Guillermo del Toro Hellboy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah. I entered in some competition that was the grand prize was lunch with Guillermo del Toro.
Did you eat lunch with him?
No, because second prize was a autograph.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I was about to say, damn.
No, so
Dang.
second. Yeah, you would have heard that story before if I had had lunch with Guillermo del Toro.
I would have.
That would have been awesome. Yeah.
Where's my
I would
pick?
be like, where is that Justice League Dark movie? Like the 1,000 other movies you talk about that you're going to make. Gosh,
Do it now.
I love him, but he is the king of being like, oh yeah, I'm working on this. And then you hear nothing about it ever again.
Crickets,
Yeah.
crickets.
That's where projects go to die, is Guillermo del Toro's desk. Okay, well that's it from us here at These Guys Have Issues. I have been your host, Carter Hutchison.
Your co-host, Matt Thomas.
And we'll see you next week, kiddos.
This has been a Grassroots Comics production. Da da da! So what's your story?
Well, some kind of silly cartoon.
You got a problem with cartoons?